How long do we think we will continue traveling full time?
How real are your videos? Do you just fake things?
Why are we not married? Will we have kids?
Send help. If you could time travel, go back in time. Kim, what would you tell
5-year-old
cute
Kim. I think. So a few weeks ago, on our way traveling through Mexico, we broke down with our van for the 4th time over the course of the past year.
Yay! So we left the van in Mexico, booked a flight to Belgium, which is where we are now, in our hometown of Tongeren, the oldest city in Belgium. Yay!
So today we are going to be recording a Q&A video for you guys to answer your most asked and sometimes pretty juicy questions. And while we do that, we're going to head into town and grab ourselves some lunch. So the first question we've been getting quite frequently lately, do we regret choosing Vinny as our mode of transportation for the trip we're currently doing from Alaska to Argentina? And actually, yes and no. In hindsight, we probably should not have brought a European Ford van to North America because we were completely unaware we were gonna have engine trouble and that we wouldn't find any pieces for our van in North America. I mean, we always thought that Ford was widely available in North America, so we would be all good. And we are just super happy. That's the other side of the story. We are just super happy to have our little home on wheels that we've been living in for the last 2 years with us on this trip because it has been equipped for everything that we want, everything that we love, and it is our home.
Alright, next question. How real are your videos? Do you just like fake things or whatever?
Script things.
Script things. Like, no, we don't. We just film our life and we film the real adventure that we want to do. And basically we kind of just go to interesting spots that like really attract us and things that we really want to do.
Sometimes there are things like, for example, when I say something to the camera, we stop recording and then they says, oh, maybe you should have linked it to this thing that happened a few days ago. That's also relevant. Like we re-recorded, or sometimes we realize that something's missing from the video and we record it a few days later and we add that as an outro or somewhere in the middle of the video just to give you guys the full story.
Keep in mind when you watch these videos, it's of course a compilation of like the highlights of our day, of our week.
Sometimes the lowlights.
Or the lowlights. It's not necessarily like a realistic portrayal of what exactly our week looks like. We also do behind the scenes a lot of work. Kim does all of the editing of these videos, which takes up hours and hours and hours of work every week.
We do our freelance work.
And I do a lot of planning, freelance work, translation stuff. So basically you see like the days we go out exploring, and that's very realistic, but we typically don't show you because it would be super boring. Exactly like this, for hours. Alright, it's time for some lunch. Typical Belgian lunch, Belgian sandwich. So you might think this is just a normal sandwich like they have everywhere in the world, but this is a sandwich with actual good bread, which we haven't had in a long time because, to be honest, the bread in Canada, US or Mexico isn't great, to say the least. And this is the good European bread we're used to, a bit like the French baguettes we have in Belgium as well. This is the good stuff.
Another question is, how long do we think we will continue traveling full time? And the very nuanced answer to that question is that we have no idea. We don't have some grand master plan for our life. Right now, we're just focused on doing what we want to do, what we love, and what makes us feel.
Wasn't the plan 2023, travel the world? 2024, conquer the world?
Shh. Right now, we're just focused on what we're gonna do over the course of the next year, which is continue to drive from Alaska to Argentina. But then after that, I understand that people are probably thinking like, is this the last big hurrah? And are they going to go back to a normal life, living in a normal house, getting a normal corporate job? Because before we started traveling full time, I was a lawyer, Naik was a financial consultant. We were nowhere close to a life as adventurous as we have now. But the truth is, we didn't really enjoy that. No matter what happens, we don't really plan on going back to that exact same way of life. So for now, we're happy traveling, and probably we'll be traveling for a bit longer after Alaska to Argentina. But I just think like there is no one right way to live life, and we're not saying that this is like the thing that everyone has to do. But we also don't think that
everyone should.
But we also don't think that everyone has to have a normal corporate job. So for you guys as well, whatever it is you want, just find that thing and do it for as long as you love it, and take it from there. So this right here is actually the main square of Toorn with the basilica over there. Look how beautiful it is here. It is actually really interesting when you don't live here anymore and you've spent so much of your life living here with your family when you were younger. Now you get to come back. It's familiar, but yet it still feels kind of more exciting than it used to, I guess.
Exactly. You get to appreciate the beauty because you're not here like every day or every week. And then you come back and say, oh yeah, it's actually beautiful.
Another question we get asked quite often is, why are we not married?
It's probably one of the second most asked question, the most asked question we'll answer after this. Why aren't we married? Well, I mean, we've been together for 16 years now, and
16 years.
Actually this is our high school where we met, right here. We don't think it makes that much of a difference. We've been together for 16 years, we bought an apartment together, and basically we never really saw like the huge value in getting married.
So we do have the second best thing, civil partnership, like a document we signed that says we legally live together and we have certain rights connected to that to inherit from each other, same way married people do. It's called a civil partnership in Belgium, but we just don't think there's so much value, aside from symbolism, of course, in getting married. And certain people have said like, I can't wait for the moment when he decides to put a ring on it with Kim. And I was like, what on earth makes you think that I'm sitting around for 16 years waiting for a ring? I don't want to get married either, which I think is something that people sometimes seem to overlook. Like, I must be waiting for it, but I'm actually not. I think it's beautiful when people do decide to get married, but we don't want to spend too much money on a wedding. We don't want to have to go through the hassle of organizing the whole thing. We might get married at some point, not sure, but it's not going to be for the foreseeable future. It's crazy though how much our school has changed, because it was never this modern. Like this entire building, if it doesn't look like it's 20 years old, it's because it's not. And suddenly that's making me feel quite old.
Question we get asked most, pretty much on at least a weekly basis on our YouTube channel, so we thought we'd address it in this Q&A.
Will we have kids? Do we plan on having kids?
Are we ready for babies?
That is also what someone said. Are you ready for babies? I do get why this question comes up so often, because it's just like the most natural thing to do in the world is to, especially if you're in a long-term stable relationship, which we are. And I understand that people think like, why not get a child, you know? You might run out of time.
The default in society just to get a kid, but we want to make conscious decisions about our life and not just go for the default option.
Sometimes we think it would be really nice to have a baby and to continue having a similar lifestyle to what we have now. And then other times when we're in our van and it's 11 p.m. and I'm trying to get a YouTube video edited and Aik is doing a freelance thing, haven't had any dinner and our toilet is full, we're like, I don't think we can manage a child in addition to everything we're currently doing.
Yeah, we spend so much time working and researching and traveling. It would be really hard to think about how we could incorporate a child into that life.
It has to become the priority, the child.
Yeah, and our financial situation isn't the most stable either. We kind of live like month to month, paycheck to paycheck, which is fine for us right now, what we're doing. But if you have a kid, you want to be financially secure and be able to provide for that kid. Sometimes when we hang out with the kids that we really know very well, like Sarah and Francis' kids who you have seen on this channel before, or Jens and Marike's kids who you haven't seen on this channel before, but there are some really close friends that have kids. Sometimes I think it would be nice to be a dad and have kids and run around with these little monsters, but then I think about the reality of the day-to-day and the traveling and the things that we do, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna be really, really hard. I think we're just gonna park this question this year and then next year see like, what do we want?
But we don't think that we need to have kids in order to live a happy and fulfilling life. So it's an option, it's not a must for us, and we'll see what the future brings.
This is the old bus that we used to take after school, going home, because we used to live at 3 bus stops from each other, and this is the bus we met on actually.
We have some really fun plans for tonight because we're going to cook something special for family.
Typical Belgian food, best Belgian food.
But first,
Rapid fire.
Wasn't that the same time? Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
It was supposed to be at the same time.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Rapid fire.
How often do we get food poisoning on the road?
Very rarely, actually. I think maybe like twice a year or something. I think after years of traveling, our stomach and body has adjusted. And when we eat street food, we always go to like busy and popular stalls. When a lot of locals are lining up there, you know, it's going to be really good. And since they have such fast turnaround, the food's going to be fresh as well. Where in the world did you experience your most awestruck moment?
The thing that immediately comes to mind is the helicopter flight that we did over the Grand Canyon that Naik gave me as a Christmas present. I remember it just being so epic, flying over the Grand Canyon in winter time with all the snow. We were right up in front next to the captain. That was super, super amazing. And second thing I would say is when we were in Mexico on the beach and we were having a barbecue with Chris and Marianne and Ben and Cheska. That is also a moment that I will never forget, that I think about a lot.
Bring it down.
What would be your very last meal if you could have your pick?
My last meal, I would probably have a thick, juicy Wagyu steak, ribeye. It's my favorite kind of meat, with some fresh hand-cut Belgian fries with probably some pepper sauce, a nice glass of red wine, and then after the meal, a nice Belgian beer. Why is the sky blue?
Because it's not cloudy. What is your favorite Belgian beer?
Ooh, that's an easy one. Chimay Bleu, which is a dark Trappist Belgian beer. It's still made by a brewery with monks. That is, for me, my favorite Belgian beer. Well, actually, my favorite beer in the world. All right. That was an actual sound effect from the bus. So, Kim, which country would you not like to visit or not travel to?
I would say in general we tend to avoid countries that are active war zones. Like for example, the war in Ukraine. I would love to visit Ukraine someday, but we're not going there until that has been resolved. Places with serious armed conflicts. But in general, aside from that, I would say there is no country that I would not visit. Like, what do we miss most about home in Belgium and our life before traveling full-time?
Well, that's an easy one. It's the reason why we are here actually. It's hanging out with family and friends and just spending time together, having some really good Belgian food, maybe drinking some Belgian beers. And we haven't seen our family and friends in a year. It's been exactly a year since we left Belgium last year to go do the Pan American. And I mean, it's just so much fun to see them again. I can really feel it in my heart being here in Belgium. It's good for us.
Today we are actually at my parents' house. We're gonna have a dinner party with my parents, my sister, Naik's mom. Naik is gonna cook us. What are you cooking?
Belgian beef stew. It's a beef stew made with Belgian beer, dark Belgian beer, and a few other Belgian products. And it's my favorite dish.
It's my favorite Belgian dish.
It's like the most Belgian dish because it's made with Belgian beer.
And typically, when we come back home for a little bit, we have it about 6 times in a few weeks' time.
Alright, we've diced up some onions. And we fried up the meat, put the onions and the meat together in one big pot. We're gonna add in 1 or 2 beers until the meat and everything else is fully submerged. So we need 1 more. Add some sweetness to it. Very important, keep drinking beer while making the beer stew. Belgian tradition. Alright, time for some more questions while the beef is stewing. That's what you do with stew, you stew it. What's the latest news on Vinny's breakdown and how are you really feeling about the situation?
So what you last saw about the breakdown in the previous video was that they figured out that it was in fact part of the exhaust system that was broken. This really massive piece. They've managed to find a piece for that in Mexico. They've swapped that out, and then we got a message a few days later when we first got to Belgium that said the unit is responding better.
Kind of cryptic, isn't it?
The unit is Vinny, but we had hoped that the unit maybe would have been fixed. And then they were like, well, you remember that piece we spent about 2 full videos looking for? The cuerpo de aceleración, the throttle body.
And we told you we didn't really need it before you left.
But now it turns out that they do need it. So we actually managed to get those pieces ordered here in Belgium. Sensor thingy. Small rubber ring for sensor thingy. Throttle body. Now if there is anything we've learned from FedEx in the past, it is that padding is very important.
Approved.
everything on the FedEx side actually went really smoothly
2 thumbs up for FedEx this time.
until yesterday morning when we got a message from the garage in Mexico.
They said, oh, FedEx dropped by. They wanted to give us your package, but we had to pay $50 in import costs, so we refused the package. I was like,
That was the first thing I heard when I woke up in the morning. I was like, good morning. And then he was like, you want to know what they did? We sent them a message saying, how can you refuse the package? It cost us $200 to send it to you. You said you needed it and now you don't accept it. You knew it was coming. They're going to send us...
this repair's going to cost us thousands of dollars. Just pay the $50 and put it on the bill.
Oh.
But I think overall we're staying really positive, especially compared to the last previous breakdowns where we kind of got dragged into the drama. I think not staying in the van while it was broken down in Mexico and then flying home has really allowed us to detach from it a little bit as well.
To distance ourselves from the situation, because before previous breakdowns, we spent 2 to 3 weeks in the parking lot of a garage in a broken down van with a toilet that's slowly getting full and all that stuff. And then you're highly invested in getting the van fixed and getting out of there as soon as possible. And everything that happens is just much more dramatic.
Yeah. The only thing that sometimes keeps me up at night or in the morning is cost. Because we calculate how much it will cost and it will be upwards of $3,000 already now.
And that does not include the bill of the garage where Vinny currently is.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be close to $4,000 for this repair, which is a lot of money for us. We've been working really hard, a lot of hours behind the scenes, which is why we haven't filmed much in Belgium.
We've basically been here for about 3 weeks now, and in that time all we've done is literally visit friends and family as much as we can, because that is why we came home, to spend time with our friends and family, and every free moment in between we just spent that working. Like in the morning we work, during the day we work, in the evening we visit family, sometimes during the day we visit family as well. Then when we get back from visiting family, sometimes until like 1 or 2 a.m. we work again, and then we go to sleep. So yeah, it's been pretty hectic. But we've also just really loved getting to spend this much time with the people that we love so much, because we don't get to do that very often. It's one of the biggest downsides of doing van life on the other side of the world. But so when we are here, it's almost like every day is Christmas.
Alright, it's serving time. See if the fan likes it or not, but they'll need to like it though.
Very good.
Super duper.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my parents' house.
I found the perfect coffee cup for me. Don't talk to me. In the morning, I just like having my coffee in silence. All right, next question is, how often do we fight and what do we fight most about? Well, we don't have really big fights very often, actually. We tend to be really nice and kind to each other.
That is real.
That's
just
real.
not something we ever put on for the camera.
No.
Or whatever.
So we hardly ever have any really big major fights. What we do have is some bickering on a day-to-day basis because we're together 24/7, almost attached to the hip.
And living in such a tiny, we live in such a tiny space. We work together, run our tiny household together.
But the biggest thing we fight about most probably is work-related stuff. It's either our freelance stuff that we do or our YouTube videos that we make. Yeah, sometimes we have disagreements. Usually we can solve them with being kind to each other. But after the 5th time, a long day of filming, not agreeing to how we should make the video, what we should film exactly, for example. Sometimes we're like...
Or how much to charge a sponsor, that sort of stuff. Lots of compromise has to happen on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So I would say we probably fight less than most people. I think we have one bigger fight a year where we're actually like pissed at each other for a few hours on end. I would say one a year, but we bicker more than most couples because we're together all the time, and
Yeah.
we have to decide jointly on every single aspect of our lives.
Imagine if your colleagues would also be your wife or your partner, and everything you do like it's together. So sometimes, yeah. But I think it also makes our relationship stronger.
The big lesson is don't marry your coworkers.
Send help. This garden is so massive you can't even see the house from here. Where's the house? Oh, look, it's over there all the way in the distance.
You have to track back. Hiker's log, day 10. We're still in the garden. We're trying to make our way back to the main building. I've got something really cool to show you.
Dun, 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 dun. Alright, someone asked the question, if you could time travel, go back in time and tell
A life
your
lesson.
kid self a life lesson, what would it be? Now Kim, what would you tell
5-year-old
cute
Kim. Look at her with her first car. I think something I've struggled with my entire life is probably like lots of worrying, and I think I probably didn't have that yet as a child, but it kind of started when I became a teenager. So if I could tell myself something, my younger self, it would probably be not to take things so seriously, and that all this rummaging that I do in my head, like mulling things over, problems especially, it doesn't really serve you, and you should focus on the positive stuff. That's something that I'm learning now, but it would have been nice if I'd learned it 30 years ago.
I think younger Kim would think that everything turned out fine.
Yeah, probably. Oh, and you?
I would just tell my younger self to drink more beer. 7-year-olds, pretty good time to start drinking beer, especially Chimay Bleu, my favorite beer.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty acceptable.
Screw what society thinks. This is the one where I didn't have any front teeth on my 6th birthday. I just love looking back at these albums because it's like it's a different life. That's crazy. In the next video, we're gonna go and rescue Vinny from the Mexican garage, and we're hopeful.
Come on, Vinny.
We don't even know if he's fixed, so this could turn into a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah.
But we're choosing to remain optimistic and not get carried away in what ifs. In a
And we're also
negative way.
super grateful that we got the opportunity to come home,
Yeah.
to spend some time with our friends and family and just hang out and
Bomb.